Happy Sunday, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I know we have Gary Spikes Sr., and I know that we have Gene Hudson here, and I am pretty darn sure everybody's going to be filing in here in just a few minutes. I am so excited about having this guest on today. I think you guys might have noticed that I've been trying to kind of have some more guests on my show that are more science-based so that we can really have, hey, Krista, she just popped in. So we can really start having some meat and potatoes type conversations, that kind of pull things together for all of us, right? And so that we can make all those connections. I know that all of us are searching for the truth, and we are truth seekers here. Everyone that's here in the chat who's going to see this later. And I just, I know that my guest is totally into questions. Okay. The only thing I'm going to ask is that if you guys can just hold your questions. Hey, Lenny, how are you? And hey, Alan. Hi, Tim T. If you guys can just put your questions all in caps and try to hang on to them towards the end of the conversation, because I want to make sure that we don't lose track and we have an amazing, full scope of everything that my guest has to say. And not only say, but he's proven. All right, guys, let me give him an amazing introduction. So Mark Fiorentino is the author of Master of Reality, a book about the completion and solution of Einstein's Unified Field theory. For as long as he can remember, he's had an insatiable and unrelenting curiosity. He studied Albert Einstein's Unified Field theory when he was 10 years old. He found it fascinating and became particularly intrigued by his discussions of this theory. As he learned more about the unified field theory, it seemed to be the most interesting thing he has ever encountered. Mark knew for sure that if he could understand this, he would know the most important thing in the world of humans, the theory of everything. He has spent most of his life working in the high-tech industry. He was the lead technician on a technology known as GPE ring, guidance processor electronics. This was a technology used to control the killer satellite missile we designed along with Vault Industries and the Air Force. He also worked for IBM for 16 years, troubleshooting computer systems and hardware. He's a self-taught computer programmer and used that knowledge to develop a program that diagnosed faulty electronic circuit boards. Mark retired early in 2016 to compile all of his notes concerning the study of the history of physics, focusing on Einstein and his research. He continued to study the unified field theory problem. Step by step, he found clues hidden in the past. Eventually, he was able to compile the clues into a set of concepts that would lead him to realize that both special and general relativity just needed to be extended a little to achieve Einstein's dream of the completed unified field theory as he first envisioned it, the unification of electromagnetism to gravity. It has been achieved. So let's welcome, I'm sorry guys, oh my gosh, a problem, oh my goodness. So let's welcome everybody, Mr. Mark Fiorentino, to the show today. Happy Sunday, Mark. I'm so glad to have you.
Happy Sunday to you as well. It's good to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to answering a lot of foundational questions in the area of physics and metaphysics and reality itself.
Yeah. So what is the unified field theory? What is it? Just if you can kind of put it in layman's terms.
Oh yeah, that's easily done. Back in the day when I first learned about it, I learned all it is really, the unified field theory is Electromagnetism and gravity emerge as aspects of a single fundamental field. So now let's go into that a little more detail. What do I mean by fundamental field? There is something in the time when everybody was wondering about this in the early 1900s and the late 1800s. They called this thing the fundamental field. They called it the ether. And
Okay.
everybody thought for sure, and they were doing their mathematics based on this ether model. And that includes people like Lorentz and Maxwell and even Einstein. We're all using this solid ether model. So that space was really a real something. That was the fundamental field. And the other fields, electromagnetism, which is electrostatic field, and the magnetic field, were two aspects of that field. And then gravity, being the third force, would be the other aspect. And somehow figuring out a way mechanically to 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 explain these um, aspects all in a unified way was the goal. That's the unified field theory, to make the connection between one and the other.
Okay. Wow. I don't think I've ever got it that well. Like the way you explained it, like was really, really amazing. Like, so all of these three things exist, right? All of these three things, but what does that actually mean for all of
Yes,
us?
good. I want you to go there and ask this because we need to drill deeper. The three
Yes.
aspects were forces. What's a force? Force means action at a distance. Somehow, these forces can influence other objects in the area. Magnets, you know how they're pulled together or pushed apart? That's a
Hmm.
force. That's a certain bending of the fundamental field. The magnetic field is a particular type of bending, it's a rotation of space, the ether. Electrostatic field is a twist of the ether. And the gravitational field, the one that I finally solved, turned out to be a contraction of the ether. So forces are nothing more than bending of the geometric structure of space. And when you bend it this way or that way, it the area around that field is an influence, or anything that enters that field, depending on its molecular structure, will be influenced by the magnetic field, the electrostatic field, and of course the gravitational field. So the unified field theory is all about properly defining those three fundamental forces
Hmm.
and their relationship. And let me give you an example. Maxwell, he determined the relationship between the electrostatic field and the magnetic field. And then they called that theory that he had a theory of electromagnetism, combining the two together. And really, what does that mean mechanically to us, physically? How could that be? Well, as it turns out, all particles are electrostatic fields. They are twists of space, geometrically speaking, that are persistent. They never unravel, they cannot be destroyed. They exist in the medium of the ether, so that when these particles exist, these electrostatic fields, little tiny ones, right? They move, they're compelled to move with a velocity in a direction. And when they do that, these twists cause a rotation that the magnetic field emerges. So there's a link. There is a connection
There's a
now between
connection and a
the static
relationship
field and the
between, yeah.
magnetic field. And we
Hmm.
know for sure, there's no doubt, there's no argument here. We know for sure that this is what causes electromagnetism. The motion of charges as they move through space create the magnetic field. So the magnetic field is really a secondary or emergent field. It only happens when charges move. So now we're two-thirds of the way to unifying the unified field theory, or the theory of everything, because we have no model from Maxwell's time to Lorenz's time to Newton's time, all the way up to Einstein, no model explaining what makes space contract. So we had to figure out, or I had to figure out, a way that these little things moving like this through space would also cause a contraction. And in my paper that's uploaded to ResearchGate, I give the mathematics explaining how unbalanced fundamental charges like the electron, like the quarks inside of neutrons and protons, they're moving in circular patterns. And specifically, this particular pattern inside of the quark and the inside of the neutron and the proton, their quarks are moving like this. It's called a trefoil knot, the simplest knot. And doesn't that make sense? Look at it. Wouldn't you expect them to move like this, interlocking, holding the neutron and proton together?
Wow.
That is the force of gravity, comes from that because it's accelerated motion. And I used Einstein's conclusion that gravity and acceleration are equivalent. And he says that in his theory of general relativity. Only thing he didn't do was provide the model. I have provided the physical model that explains that, because when those particles move like that, they're not only moving in this trefoil knot pattern, but the trefoil knot is rolling and spinning. So what you get in the end is a rotating sphere, which is what we would see in a microscope if it could magnify it that much, because it's ultra
Wow.
tiny and they're moving. And I calculated this in my other paper. The quarks are
Mhm.
moving at 99% the speed of light in that little tight space. And when things do that, what Einstein discovered and I got excited about was the final link between acceleration and gravity. When they do that, that rotating sphere causes a contraction. And I'll give you the explanation that Einstein, well, actually, a person named Max Born first discovered, a physicist. Then
Mhm.
Paul Ehrenfest became even more important. As eventually, in the end, they called this discovery the Ehrenfest Paradox. Einstein saw this and says, aha, I have a way that mechanically, he didn't tell anybody out loud, but he got excited to himself and wrote 7 papers on the Ehrenfest Paradox, which basically is about this, is what I'm about to tell you. Einstein followed the line of reasoning that began with the happiest thought of his life. Still at the Swiss patent office, he conducted one of his famous thought experiments. Einstein imagined a circle spinning in space. The center of the circle did not move, but its circumference was moving quickly in a circular direction. Einstein compared what happened in several reference frames, a standard tool he used in developing the special relativity theory. He concluded, pay close attention here, he concluded using the special relativity that the boundary of the disk contracted as it spun. There was a force acting on the circle at the boundary, the centrifugal force, and its action was analogous to that of the gravitational force. But the same contraction that affected the outer circle left the diameter unchanged. Thus, Einstein concluded, in a way that surprised even him, the ratio of the circle to the diameter was no longer pi. He deduced that in the presence of a gravitational force, the geometry of space was non-Euclidean. So let's link this all in. Space, the ether, is a quasi-elastic solid. And so it can be deformed. It can be bent slightly in this way or that way. It itself doesn't move except for these little movements of contraction and expansion, twisting, and so forth. So what he concluded is that rapidly spinning disk or sphere, the same math will work, causes a contraction around the perimeter inward. That's what we see as gravity. That's the basis for gravity, a contraction, an attraction toward that point, every proton and every neutron. And it's additive. So as you pack more and more together, that force increases. More mass you have, the heavier the object, the stronger its gravitational field. So that's the whole link. That's the final set of mechanical ideas that allowed me to generate the mathematics, which is really Newton's equations for motion and differential equations. And I'm not a great mathematician, but I says, I understand the model well enough. I could put these equations, I could find them, put them together, which is what I did. I assembled them, hired a physicist. I said, train me on these equations. I want to understand them in and out. Guy didn't know what I was going to use them for. But once I went through the training, I, was alerted to all the units of measurement, made sure I respected the units of measure so that everything made sense in the equations, fit them together, and demonstrated how quarks inside of neutrons and protons generate mass, which means they generate their own gravitational field. So that's the conclusion, basically, as succinctly as I can put it, that gravity is really nothing more than a contraction of space. And I gave you just now the mechanical model that was used to explain the phenomena. And that's the final link. That's the cause of gravity, because the things that are doing it are electromagnetic particles. So now we have linked electromagnetism to gravity via the motion of those charges in a specific way. It's done. Now all that's got to happen is that our physicists out there have to wake up and say, this actually makes sense. And it can't really be refuted, because I've shot it at a couple of physicists already. Neither one said, that math is wrong. No, they didn't say that,
Of
because
course it's
the math actually predicts the masses of the neutron and the proton to 12 or more digits. Acts exactly what we see. It explains it. It predicts it. It demonstrates the model, which is what math really is. It's just a language that allows humans to express things that are happening in the physical world, and to say this really equals that. So in this particular set of equations, I said the motion of unbalanced charges equals mass. It's really quite simple. Once you get the whole of it, and once you understand it, it takes your breath away. I remember the day I actually figured it out, and was something not really to do with all of this stuff. It was really to do with the photon. One of my happiest thoughts, and I was at work, and I thought, why is it that every particle has mass except the photon? And I said, there's got to be a reason. This is important. This means something. Why does nobody understand this? What is the photon doing differently than all the other particles? And then it just came to me, and I said, oh my God, this has got to be it. The photon always travels in a straight line, it's linear, and at a constant rate of speed, which means in the world of physics, it's not accelerating. It's the only particle that never accelerates. So it never generates mass. It never suffers from inertia. It moves at a constant rate of speed in a straight line. If it moved in an angle, it would generate mass. So suddenly I realized that's where mass comes from. It's because particles move like this. Or if they have unbalanced charges, their geometry is not balanced, they'll move in those angles. Electron is an unbalanced charge. Quarks are unbalanced charges. Photons are 50% positive, 50% negative. The structure is balanced. It moves in a straight line. It doesn't generate mass. All the others do. It all locked in. It all suddenly made sense. And I got chills the moment it hit me, as I'm getting right now. It was just that simple. And physicists refuse to look at the universe that way anymore because of quantum mechanics. Very frustrating, but that's taken them away from the truth. And
Hmm.
that's why Einstein was very upset with the growth and the spread of quantum mechanics. He argued against it to the last day of his life.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. So, how does all of this affect us as human beings in our space, our time, our universe, our, like, how does, like, are we also in that constant mood, like, are we just straight? I mean, how does that relate to us and what we're living in?
Well, I'm trying to get the world to look at the bigger picture and the truth. The truth will set you free. Knowledge will set you free.
Hmm.
The truth that we need to evolve, and we can only do this with knowledge and truth.
Hmm.
And so I'm trying to bring forth these precious pieces of knowledge, uh, so that we can advance. So how is this fit? This is affecting us at a spiritual level more than scientific level. Although
Okay.
my pursuit of the knowledge of gravity had an ulterior motive. There was something else I was going after that was beyond it, and that was anti-gravity. So I thought to myself many years ago, the only way to figure out how to do any gravity was first understand gravity to the core. And then it would become
Mhm.
obvious how to create anti-gravity, because anti-gravity is obviously what aliens are using to travel through space. So I really wanted to know not just about the unified field theory, but the completion of that, which would include anti-gravity. And that's the paper I'm working on now, because I have discovered the root cause of.
Oh,
So that's really the what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to bring out all this knowledge forward, because
mhm.
humanity needs this knowledge. They need to know how gravity works. They need to know how anti-gravity works. They need to know that you understand the unified field theory so we can build starships. We need to build starships, because we could do a whole nother show just on the next thing I'm about to say.
We'll do
Because
that. You and I talked about that. So we're
yes,
definitely gonna do more than one show. Go for it.
so the problem, the deep problem that nobody realizes yet, is that the Earth's core is unstable. And so now I'm worried. I'm worried that if we don't bilocate to another star system, if things could go really bad, and there's a lot of near death people that are predicting a catastrophe centered around great earthquakes and volcanoes. Our planet is not what you would call a normal planet. We have normalcy bias that assume, because this is where we live and this is the way this planet reacts, that this is normal. This is an unstable planet physically. It's cracked all the way around. The tectonic plates are floating on magma. We got a serious problem because there's something going on in the core that they don't
Mhm.
realize. Another discovery I made, which we will talk about probably on some other show, which is basically in the core of the Earth is a neutronium sphere rapidly spinning. Neutronium sphere being solid neutronium. Whole nother theory goes into cosmology, the Big Bang theory, and all that. But the point I'm trying to make here is that things could go wrong here. Therefore, we need anti gravity and we need faster than light space travel.
Mhm.
So I set about the task of discovering how to do that. Once I understood gravity is a contraction of space, now we know what do we need to do to space to make anti-gravity. I'll let you answer that question.
Mhm.
Gravity is a contraction of space. What
Right.
would be the opposite of that?
Oh, the expansion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Correct. That's all we have to do. So we have to figure out a way that those same moving charges, electrons or whatever, can create an expansion of space. And there are actually two ways that can be done with a super intense magnetic field and a super intense electrostatic field. Both of these cause a motion in space, a deformation, either a rotation or a direct twist. That causes space to stretch. When you stretch space, it expands. And when
Yes.
you expand, now you have the opposite of gravity. But it takes huge amounts of power to
In
do
order
this.
to do that. Yeah.
So I've been working in my lab trying to do that, but
Wow.
I can't generate enough power. I have already in
Well,
the past on other experiments blown the
mhm.
transformer off the pole outside, so I don't want to get into that again.
You really did that?
On something else that used a lot of power, let's just say.
That's interesting.
Uh,
Well, like I definitely have heard, Dr. Stephen Greer's, the whole disclosure, you know, one of the things he talks about is that whole free power, right? Like there's a
yes,
way, that we can have
we
free
need
power.
that.
The whole world, like can have free power. And
Right.
the suppression of that knowledge, not only the suppression of the knowledge, but people for nefarious reasons, probably because they want to keep all their money, are not allowing that technology to be realized for everyone.
This is true. And I can back up with evidence right now that proves just exactly what you said.
Yeah.
When I was in my 20s, I came upon a person. I won't say what the circumstances are because I don't want to give that any chance for that person's identity to be revealed. This person over lunch said to me that they worked at a power company and
Mhm.
they worked in the patents office. And this person said to me that they saw
I'm
uh,
sorry, you glitched just for a
yeah,
second.
I want to get that again because
Yes,
that
please.
I don't
Okay,
know if
so
that's
you had
they
lunch, you were
saw
on lunch.
patents. They saw patents that changed the world, and they worked for the power company. And they said, and I asked, well, why aren't these things coming forward? He says, we just sit on them.
Mhm.
So what you're saying is absolutely true, and they're doing worse than just sitting on them. Some of the
Yeah.
people involved have been dealt with very harshly.
Yeah,
Oop, now you're glitching. You just
now
glitched.
I'm glitching. Now I'm glitching. You see, this happens every single time we start talking about these kinds of topics. Um,
Yeah, there could be because I've noticed I've gone back on some of my other shows, and when I talk about anti-gravity in detail, there's cuts.
yeah.
Somebody's made cuts in the tape, which means they can go to any of these sites,
Oh, yeah.
download the video, modify it, and re-upload it.
Re-upload it. I have heard of that happening. I have heard that.
Yeah,
So
well, I've
things
seen it.
just
I've
like
seen
that.
it. Hey, I'm talking about anti-gravity. I just happened to be reviewing it, and I see, hey, there's a cut
Mhm.
right here. I'm talking, I'm leaning like this. All of a sudden, I'm over here leaning like that, and the
Interesting.
sentences are gone.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Because, I mean, think about what our world could be if everyone on the planet had free energy.
right.
Like that, the changes that, all these like third world countries would be able, I'm like, it's mind blowing to me that the powers that be, we'll just call them the powers that be, and this is for entertainment purposes only. Just I gotta throw that out there too, right? I don't want to be like taken down, but it's sad that the powers to be are really, really holding down humanity from evolving just to be able to enjoy YouTube or Facebook or just the internet and information. And that's what I feel like. It's that suppression of information that is really, really a detriment to our species at this point. I
Yeah,
think.
it's corruption. It's
Hmm.
corruption that's spread across the world. It's not just here.
Hmm.
Um, it's very alarming, and it brings me to something else I've been studying, which is, is there going to be a great calamity? Is there going to be something bad happening to knock this civilization out? Well,
Yeah.
I've studied a lot of near-death experiencers, and pretty much to a man and a woman, they're saying there is something coming, and it's if we don't get our act cleaned up, we don't get
Hmm.
things straightened out, there's going to be a reset, and it's going to knock out mainly this country and the rest of the world, a pole change. Uh,
Oh, we glitched. Oh, did I glitch?
no, but I just did. Okay, so I'll say it again. There's
Say
going
it
to be
again.
a pole change, volcanic activity, massive earthquakes, something of that nature to fix humanity. It's not a punishment. It's a, a balancing so that the evil and the corruption in this world doesn't dominate it to the point where nothing else can exist here, but more corruption and suffering and evil. We have to just get beyond that to evolve. Oh, there you go. There you go. So we have to get that to um, evolve. So
Right.
it's a way to fix the problem. We could fix it one of two ways. The one way is the hard road, the big catastrophe. The civilization has gotten wiped out, like this happened many, many times already.
Right.
Or the other way, we evolve. We become more spiritual. We become better people.
Hmm.
Uh, like he says, we reset humanity so
Yeah.
that the experiment can continue until we get on the right path and we purify ourselves and become more spiritual beings. Then
Hmm.
once that happens, the threat uh, or the need for another reset goes away. But we're on the threshold. We're very close. I feel within a few years, within
Yeah.
my lifetime.
I think
So,
so. Yeah. I
and
agree.
you will see people are preparing now. They call them the preppers.
Hmm.
There's just an intuitive knowing something big and bad is about to happen. And these things like COVID and all these other things that are fired are warning shots in 9/11, saying, hey, your cozy, comfortable world can be altered just like that.
Just like that.
So
Yeah.
wake up and start to prepare. Try to be better people. And it's really all about learning to achieve selfless love. If we do
Yeah.
that, the one and only commandment that God gives us is this. He says simply, love one another. If
Hmm.
we do that, everything gets fixed. No more stealing, no more lying, no more
Right.
cheating, no more murder, no more crime. No, because we're loving one another and you don't do
Hmm.
those sorts of things to people that you love.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You know,
I
you
am so, I'm so about that.
yeah, I saw on your opening show. I like that music, by the way. That was good music.
Oh,
Uh,
thanks.
that's what it's got to be all about. That's part of what I am testifying
Yeah.
to, and what
Yeah.
all these near death people are testifying to. We're on
Right.
the same team. I like to call it Team God. A psychic that I went to recently also called it that, and been to many psychics from when I was 19 all the way till
Hmm.
now. Got a lot of good information. When you get a real psychic, somebody that can talk to the other side, it's pretty much as good as being able to talk directly to God, because everybody on the other side is connected. They're
Yeah.
all connected together. and they're all connected to God. So all knowledge is available. Uh, there's just limitations on what they can tell you and give you,
Mm-hmm.
because the ultimate rule on the other side for the guardian angels and the people that are helping you is
Mm-hmm.
that they can't give you too much information to cancel out your free will. Free will is what it's all about here in this physical realm. Vitally important that we evolve and we grow and we try to figure it out ourselves. We try to remember what we came here to do, because we all were born with a mission, a plan. And once you
A
discover that,
calling.
yeah,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
it's for everybody. There's no exceptions, and that
I
plan is
agree.
different for everybody.
I agree.
Uh, but that's real. That's true.
Yeah.
That's the way it really is. And
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, what should happen when you get into kindergarten, the teacher should say, "Welcome to planet Earth, more commonly known as Gaia in the other realm. You are an incarnation in the form of a human being. There are millions, there's an infinite amount of other
Infinite.
beings all
Yes.
over this universe and
Yes.
other universes. You are here to learn, you are here to experience. Your one commandment is love one another. Well, I'll teach you
Mhm.
about that." That should be like the opening session of kindergarten, and it should be repeated every year.
Yeah.
It's not religion specific, it's a universal
Universal. Yeah.
religion, basically, is what I'm talking about. So
Right.
that it's not just something that Christians should be saying, or Muslims, or Hindus, or Buddhists, or the Shinto religion. It's everyone. If it doesn't talk about that, then it's
Mm-hmm.
not from God, it's from man. Any of this, we're the perfect religion, or we're the perfect, science is better than anything. That's all from man. God is the source, the force, the
Yes.
the
Yes.
ether. Uh, Let me read to you something that NDE guy once said to me. Oh, not to me, but uh, to the YouTube. But I heard it. I said, "Man, this is right on target." Father Rick Wendell, who describes how the universe basically was created and what it's all about. And he says, all of this three-dimensional world is within God. There is nothing outside of God. Everything within this physical universe has to correspond to laws, and God set those laws. They are immutable as God is immutable. None of this, what we see and experience, is an accident. It is intentioned by God. That pretty much sums it up. And that's pretty much what every near-death experiencer has come back and said. This is God is everywhere. God is everything. They've said it in different
Wow.
ways. It's That's important
It's
stuff.
yeah, like it's profound. It's getting to the core.
Yes.
It's getting to that core. And I think so. Would you agree that one of the ways that all of us, I mean, collectively, a way for us to kind of start raising our vibration and getting down to the core of, look, because I say it all the time. It's in my outro. It's in my intro. I'm always about positivity, but I tell everybody, wherever spread love and kindness wherever you go. Like
Yes.
that is like my mantra.
Yes.
And so do you feel like one of the things that we can do to kind of get into that mindset is to meditate and to start that inner journey by having some simple meditation?
Yes. Because what God wants from us is a personal relationship
Yeah.
with Him. And you do that through meditation, through prayer or discussion,
Yeah.
which is a form of prayer where you internally,
Mhm.
talk about your day or what you feel, or your desires, your hopes, all of that. That's what
Mhm.
God wants for us. and
Mhm.
and when you do this, then the universe says, "Oh, you're open to this." Now that you're open and you're willing to listen, we'll send you messages, and they do it in a variety of ways. I get messages all kinds of
Mhm.
different ways. And
Yeah.
it's kind of comforting,
Hmm.
and you know that they're on your side.
Yeah.
The other side is not against you. The only way you get into trouble is listening to the evil, and there are demons and so forth that are on the other side that would like to mess
Mhm.
up the works. And they do that through fear and greed and all the other vices that humanity is
Yeah.
susceptible to when you're in
Yeah.
the flesh. Uh,
Right.
those things are possible and a choice you can make. Um, I agree with your philosophy. I'm of the same belief entirely. We're on the
Yeah.
same track. And know this, what you got, that's coming from God
Hmm.
working through you.
Yes.
You're a team God person, whether you realize
Yes.
it or not. If you're
Yeah.
promoting
I call.
those things, you're on the right side, and
Yeah.
you're helping the cause of humanity.
Hmm.
So keep it up.
Yeah.
Keep up the good
Thank
work.
you. Thank you. Yeah. I try, like, I call it, like my family. These are like my family. All of my, my family are the ones that come and support me in my channel, and they participate in my chat, and they like my videos and leave comments, they're either watch it live or they'll watch it later. They're my soul tribe. That's what
Hmm.
I call
Yeah.
them. They are my soul tribe. And I resonate with them, they resonate with me, and they know, like, I'm constantly, like, every single day, I always post, like, positive quotes and messages on Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube channel. Like, I want to get that out there. I want people to realize that, you know yes, there are negative things going on in the world. Yes, there are horrible atrocities and tragedies that happen, and trauma happening daily in the world. But it all starts with us. It all starts with one person making a conscious effort to be positive and
Yep.
kind and loving to everyone they meet. And it's
Yep.
like, that's all it is. That's all it takes. Just be positive and spread love and kindness wherever you go.
You're absolutely correct, and it's hard to do for me to do in practice because I've had a lifetime of bad programming, and so it's hard for me to always be that way. But I
Mhm.
keep learning. It's all
Thank you,
about
Laura.
it's all about selfless love, and
Mhm.
the more you practice that, the better off you're going to be. The higher the rewards will
Yeah.
be in the afterlife, and certainly I think about that a lot. We're all going to go through a
Mhm.
life review, and so I want to make it as good as I can.
Yeah.
Basically, my philosophy is the greatest gift that God has given to us is our life. What we do with it is our gift back to
Yeah.
God. Make it
That's our
good as
our free will, because there's
right.
always that free will, right? There's
That was
always
built. That was built into this system, not by accident. That was the
that's
most
right. By
important part
design.
of this physical realm where we can experience suffering and evil and contention, as well as joy and happiness
Mhm.
and love. It's all a mix here, and we have the choices. We have the ability to go wherever, which way we want,
Yeah.
and the better our choices. The way to guide our choices is
Mhm.
use the love principle, which
Yes.
you've been saying, what I've been saying. The more you choose selfless love as your pathway, the
Mhm.
more happier you're going to be, and the more all of humanity rises. When you succeed, all of humanity is elevated. When each and every individual goes up a little higher, we're all raised.
Yes.
So, look at it that way, for the folks that are listening out there. We want you
Collective.
to achieve. We want you to be successful. We
Mhm.
want you to be good, and you got to want that. Everybody's got to get on board with that. And I really wish they'd start teaching that kind of stuff in schools. And they do a little bit in church, and they're getting better. I go to Roman Catholic Church, and I have for all of my life. and I enjoy that. But it really needs to be center stage, up front, because our culture now is kind of becoming very putrefied.
Mm-hmm.
We're excusing bad behavior, illegal behavior, and trying to ignore it, and for all the wrong reasons, not fixing the problem.
Right.
Our culture is much against cures. And I'm not just talking about philosophically or scientifically. Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
even talking medically.
Mm-hmm.
You look up some of these people that have been fighting cancer and have some great discoveries and insights. The mainstream medical community fights them to the to the death to shut them up and
Mm-hmm.
keep them quiet. They hate cures because it's
Yeah.
all about money.
Because there's no money in the cure.
That's right. There's nothing that makes a medical
Mhm.
community, they'll
That's
never
right.
say that, they'll never admit this, of course,
No.
but there's nothing better to a doctor than a person who's constantly sick and is
Yep.
constantly coming back for additional treatments that don't
Right.
work or have, only treat a
Mm-hmm.
few symptoms, but never
Exactly.
really fix the problem.
Right.
There's no money in fixing the problem. And I think the pharmaceutical companies have
Mm-hmm.
realized that. And so their treatments are all
Well,
based upon perpetuating the individual and
yeah.
also allowing them to still basically stay sick or infected or whatever.
Right. Now, I do know that there is a new kind of, I don't, for lack of a better term, there's like a new genre uh, in the medical field, and it's called functional medicine, right? Where these particular doctors get to the root of your problem. Like instead, they're looking at you as a whole instead of every time you go to, and I'm not saying that how do I say this? I don't want to get in trouble. I'm not saying don't go to urgent care. Okay. Because they
Oh,
definitely, there is a reason, right? There's a purpose for them to be around. I'm not saying don't go to urgent care, but the problem with using urgent care only when you know what I mean, like you don't have a regular like family doctor or whatever. They're treating you here for this, and then they're treating you over there for this, and they're treating, and it's kind of like they're none of them are connected to each other. So
right,
it's
right,
these functional physicians are getting to the root of people's problems by treating the whole individual and not just a symptom that you may be having in the
right,
moment.
right.
So
Yeah.
it's really important, like you said. It's like it's bringing all of that together, you know what I mean, and
And
get.
there's many good people in the medical community. Most of them
Mhm.
are. It's just the bigger, higher levels in the structure there of the higher ups and somewhat inside the governments and so forth that really don't work for the betterment of
Mhm.
the health. They're just trying to follow a protocol that, I can't get into too much detail. I could, but then we would be
I
blanked
get
off.
it. Yeah, I
We
get it
would
though.
be
I get
blip.
it.
You would be
Yeah.
kicked off of YouTube. So I won't go any
Right.
further there. But I could say that basically it is my opinion that we need to really treat the root cause of problems and
Hmm.
cure diseases
Right.
once and for all so that the person is cured from heart disease or the
Right.
person
Right.
is cured from cancer, not just learn to kind of just stumble along and live with it. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can take, like magnesium is really good for you. Do the studies on magnesium and heart disease. You'll
Yeah.
find some interesting information on that. I take magnesium every day.
I Me too. I take my magnesium, my zinc.
Zinc.
The zinc is a big one, everybody.
Yes, yes.
Vitamin C and
Yeah.
vitamin D. And because when I realized I wasn't, I don't know, this was,
Vitamin K too as well.
yes,
The new one.
yes. I can't remember how many years ago it was. It was a long time ago. And I was having a lot of weird symptoms. And it was all related because, and believe it or not, because I'm in sunny South Florida, and yet I was lacking big time vitamin D. And
Wow.
yeah, and then so I do. I'm very, very big about vitamins because, our soil is dead. We
Right.
do not get the nutrients and the minerals and the vitamins and everything that we need through our food. You just
Right.
don't. We don't get them anymore. They pick
That's right.
things that are not ripe. They use chemicals to ripen them, and it's destroying us. It's so bad. Like it's really gotten critical, in my opinion, the way that just how we need to eat food. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and
it's there's so much we could do to make the general health of the population better.
yeah.
And I recommend listening to videos by Dr. Brzezinski, the Brzezinski Clinic. He's has some marvelous work in the cancer area, and definitely for cancer study, listen to the Thomas Seyfried, yeah, Seyfried on cancer. Oh,
Wow.
he's done some amazing work there. There's a lot of information out there you can get by studying when you have a problem. Be knowledgeable.
Right.
It's partly you're responsible as the patient to find
To
out exactly what's wrong and make sure your doctor
and
gives
then get
you,
informed.
yeah, get informed, learn about whatever it is that you got wrong as much
Hmm.
as you can so you can develop a strategy and a plan, a treatment system that will work for you.
Right. Well, my son, one of my sons, I want to say, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think how long ago it was now. It might have been 6 years ago or so. There was a not too far from me. They were building a hydrogen collider that was to kill cancer in patients.
Oh,
Private,
uh,
private,
uh,
private,
particle
private.
beam.
Apart, exactly. And when
Yeah.
he came home, it was kind of funny because he's a brainiac. This my oldest. He is a brainiac. Uh, when he came home, he was there working like with the electricians, and so he was kind of explaining to me like how they were building this stuff, right, and how it was being built, and the way I don't even know how to go into it. I understood it how he was explain, but I can't explain it. But the whole point is that he was telling me, he was like, if every single tiny little detail of this machine that they were building, if they were off by just a teeny weeny little bit on anything or any part or piece of it, it could blow up how many city blocks. But they're going to use it privately. People, insurance doesn't pay for this, but you could go in there and have a tumor or have cancer and this pay millions of dollars for this hydrogen collider to be focused on your tumor to be supposedly blasted away. Millions of dollars they
Yeah.
charge people to do this. It's
Well,
crazy.
that method is very
I don't
involved.
know if it works. This is just what they were
Uh, well, they
building.
commonly use X-rays all the time for high energy X-rays for all the time for this
Yeah.
stuff. And the problem is it's not doesn't discriminate well, and it causes a lot of damage. Like they used it on my mom's brain tumor, and the radiologist made us sign papers because the doctor wanted to continue blasting away after that was left that he
Hmm.
couldn't get out, and warned us that if you go over this you could create another kind of cancer. And sure enough, a few years later she had a fast rapid growing tumor that came out of that area that took her in a matter of a few weeks.
Oh my
um,
goodness.
there's better ways to treat cancer, ways that is more specific to attacking the cancer. Look at Thomas Seyfried's explanations having to do with a special dietary plan that's
Hmm.
much less invasive, much more gentle on the system. It's a challenge to do, but it really goes after the cancer part. But, folks who are listening who may have this disease or in the future, or family or friends,
Hmm.
learn about Thomas Seyfried, and learn what he's learned, over 40 years or so of study. There are ways, and I've read in Reader's Digest, people have used this method. They call it the diet, the Mediterranean diet is
Uh-huh.
has cured this one guy, and this is out of to Reader's Digest. I read the article. He was diagnosed with some sort of cancer, a very
Hmm.
severe, stage 4. He was a goner. He lived in Chicago. He decided to go back to his home country, which was
Hmm.
Greece. It's a little island there. He moved back. He was given only 6 months to live. So
Wow.
he moves back to this island off of Greece, and there's no soda pop there. It is just whatever they grow on this island and so forth. And he started eating that food. Well, the 6 month came and went, and he didn't die. Then a year, then 2 years, then 5 years, then 20 years. And finally, he dies at like 99, and,
Wow.
and not from cancer.
God
This
bless
is,
him. God bless
he,
him. Wow.
along the way, he goes back to talk to the doctors who gave him the diagnosis and so forth. They were all dead. He outlived them all. And they're the experts.
Right.
And the treatments they offered almost never work. All he did was go on this particular
Wow.
diet, lots of vegetables, lots of fruits, very little, or mostly organic sort of things.
No processed
And
foods,
that
right?
cancer went away
Yeah.
completely. And there's
Wow.
lots of stories where people do. I've listened to some of them on the internet where
Yeah.
they use a special diet, and the cancer is gone. They had stage 4 too, and that's very, it's testimonial. I know the doctors don't care for that, but you gotta. It's legitimate. If they're not lying, you got to investigate it, and they're not. I mean, there's no reason for these people to be lying about something as important as that. They're trying to
Yeah.
convey some vitally important information for the rest of us who are suffering, and we could end that suffering if we help them help
Yeah.
themselves. It's
Right. Oh,
there's so much
it
goodness out there. You
it
just got to
seems
get it.
so, yeah, like it seems so simple. Well, it is. It is simple. It's a simple thing, right? It's very simple, but trying to get people to believe it, or trying to convince people that you just have to eat better to solve a lot of issues. It's like, I don't know. It's almost like everybody's like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Like they don't see the in the simplicity is the actual thing that can help someone, no matter whether it's depression or, like just getting out of your house, right? Especially like when you're, like maybe battling, depression. It's like, just, I think if people just were kinder to those that with depression, understanding where they're coming from, and just love, 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 help them and give them and show them the support and encouragement. I think that those things, that's in my opinion, the action that we're lacking is showing people that, hey, I'm here for you. And if you need to talk, or you need to, like, I think that we're missing that connection in our society as well.
Well, certainly we need more compassion. Definitely,
Yeah.
that's a big problem right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's into themselves, and who's going to win American Idol
Mhm.
and who's going to win the Super Bowl. None of this stuff is really important. What's important is happiness, compassion, joy, living a good life, living a fulfilled life, finding your path, finding the thing that you came down here to do and do it.
Right.
Whatever
Right.
that is, whatever that
Whatever it
is.
is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. If
And do
somebody
it.
would have told me, a year ago that I would be doing what I'm doing right now, I would have been like, you are crazy. You are crazy. I would never do that. I would never have a YouTube. Like, I just, and then here I am. Here I am. This is my calling. It really is. It's my
Yes.
calling
Yes.
to
I
get people to, like yourself, to come on and talk about things like this. Is like, thank you
Well,
so much.
you're listening to your guardian spirits,
Yep.
your spirit guides. I call them guardian angels mostly. I've
Yep.
had experience with them. I can testify that I've seen them. I've heard them. I've even felt their touch one time, and I was visited by a pet that I could smell. The So that's four senses out of five that I've seen and can testify that the other side is real.
Yes, it
It
is.
exists. It's more real than this place. It's home.
Mm-hmm.
And for the depressed people, some of them, I can't say it's going to cure everybody because there's many different causes for depression. Some of them are
Right.
chemical based, chemistry. Some are cognitive. You could work your way out of it if you could get your thinking back to
Back
the
in,
right,
yeah, back on
to a
track. Yeah.
positive level, and trying to learn
Mhm.
how to have a positive attitude and think
Yeah.
positively. Because the more you think negatively, the more you're going to draw that in.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not a good cycle to be on. So
Mm-mm.
for most people, we got to work with them cognitively somehow so that they can logically work their way out of it and come up with some sort of a solution for their life. And then suddenly the little things become joyful. The walk in the park,
Mhm.
just being alive, watching a sunrise or a sunset,
Yes.
enjoying your family and friends, uh, things like that are just help you be peaceful,
Right.
comfortable, and content. Because no, there's on the in the after.
Oh, we glitched.
I'm glitching.
Yep. You
I don't
glitched.
know. I don't know what that is or what. I have that a lot on my shows. It's a real, not that particular, on again, off again
Yeah.
thing. But I see that sometimes. But yeah, it's the solution. It's almost right there for all of us.
Right.
Uh, I just, what we're doing, what you're doing, and what I'm trying to really is the same thing. We're just trying to make this world a better place,
That's
and we're
right.
trying to be a part of that, and
Yes.
trying to get other people thinking in that same way so they're not depressed, so they have hope, and
Yes.
realize that this is just well, there's another glitch.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's happening. I guess I'm next here, and they're going to blink me out. Okay, they're going to
Right.
wait till I say something important, and then they're going to black me out. Uh,
Right. But we do. We need hope. We do. And I feel like our world, people are feeling so hopeless and so disconnected. And I feel like, you know, just bringing hope back into our lives and love back into our lives and being kind to other people will definitely bring us, and that compassion. Yeah. Lara says, hope, love, and compassion, and bringing that back into our lives on an individual basis will it's like throwing a pebble into a lake and the ripple effect happens. And if you yourself, you're positive and you're kind and you're loving and compassionate to others, it will make someone else smile and it will make someone else's heart sing. And I feel like that's what we all need to stay and get connected with each other.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The more of that happens, the better our chances to avoid the big reset. So there
Right.
is a battle between good and evil right now. And even if evil wins the battle, they will not win the war.
That's right.
So keep that in mind. Uh, let's just hope we never have the big calamity. I mean, I'm trying
Right.
my best to prevent it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, trying to get to the point where people are allowed access to technologies like free energy
Mm-hmm.
and and anti-gravity, which once you develop the anti-gravity field, which I call the slip wave, you
Okay.
gain other bonuses. You can break the light speed barrier, which is absolutely vitally, and we can talk about this on another show. I have
Okay.
the methodology to explain how that can be done so that we can get to another star system that maybe takes 4.2 light years to get to us, to them, can be done in 10 or 15 minutes. That's practical. That's what's needed. So you have to break the light speed barrier by at least 20 or 30,000 times the speed of light to do
Wow.
that. And
Wow.
there
And
is
that's
a way to do that.
possible?
Yes. I could give you even the math that comes from James Clerk Maxwell that was key into the discovery of how to do that. And I could tell you about the people that discovered the manipulation of these two properties of space will allow the greater than speed, light speed technology to exist and how it's done. And they've done it in material science by arranging the molecular structure of objects to create zero permittivity and zero permeability, which is the key to great breaking the light speed barrier. And there's a math equation that explains that. It's all in my book. This is what I'm sure all our alien buddies have already discovered. This is
Right.
all old hat to them, covered up by our country.
Well,
uh,
okay, so now is this, let me just, okay, so is that how we are reverse engineering some of our own, UFO, UAP, so they're onto this?
they say that. They've
Okay,
already said it. They say, "Hey, we know how to break the light speed barrier."
I love it.
I know they did, because when you reverse engineer it and you discover how to build the anti-gravity field, you're going to realize as soon as you get in that spaceship and go 5,000 miles an hour, stop, and then go up 5,000 miles, that would kill anybody inside there unless you're inside of the slip wave, which protects you inertially from those kinds of motions that would kill you. If you broke the light speed barrier
Right,
with a rocket ship, which you can't do, but if you did or even got close, you would be dead by the time you pass 90% of the speed of light because of the Lorentz transformations that would physically contract you, increase your inertia, you would be pinned back in the chair. Physicists would argue about what I'm saying right there, but they'd be wrong. And the only way to know it for sure is to build a rocket that goes that fast, and they know it can't be built. So they're safe in saying it incorrectly. But those transformations are canceled by the slip wave. You can break the light speed barrier and be like we're sitting right now here, not experiencing any kind of inertia, no being pinned back in your chair, no feeling any motion sickness. It'd be like floating. And you're going 5,000 miles an hour like this in these spacecraft that they have here on Earth that we see all the time, and do a right turn. And
all
it's like
right.
you're in the slip wave, you're in that bubble, feel nothing, feel nothing.
Oh,
You're
you
just
okay? We're gonna hang on to this for the next show. We're doing that. That'll be our next show. We'll talk about that. The slip
okay.
wave.
Okay,
I
sounds good.
love it. I love it. Wow. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your passion and your calling and your path. And thank you for, wow, I don't know. I learned so much today, and you know what? You're part of my soul tribe. You are
Yes.
part of my soul
Yeah.
tribe. That's what we were.
Def-
This is divine timing happening right here. And we get to, we're going to do some more shows together. Definitely. Next one's going to definitely be on the Slipwave for sure.
Okay.
I'm going
That sounds
to,
good.
you're going to have to be a regular on my channel now, Mark. Sorry, you're
Okay.
part of the family. So you got to be that.
I would love that. I love these conversations because we're dealing
Oh,
with the core reality. It's metaphysics, it's philosophy, it's everything important. We want to know the truth. So be
yeah.
happy to
Yeah.
talk about any of this stuff.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to, oh my gosh. I don't even know what, like, I'm just so blessed. I'm so blessed that, you reached out to me. Like, it's just,
Oh,
I
let
don't
me
know.
give you my website so they can go over
Yes,
there.
I was just gonna say that. Everybody, let's listen, get a pen and paper, get ready. Mark's gonna give you all
I'll
his
type it in
information.
here too.
Okay.
www.super-relativity.com. Super-relativity.com. You can get the book there. You can go into my blog. You can watch some of my older videos. Uh, all that stuff is available. Oh, connections to my 2 papers, and soon, hopefully, a 3rd paper on antigravity that are on ResearchGate. Everything you need to do, spread the word. If you know a scientist, tell them about me and say, hey, you should listen to this guy. Give him a chance because that's the next step in this game. Here we go. We're going to blink out again. He says,
Oh no,
don't let him, don't let him have that. Yeah. Yeah. Don't let him get that information out.
right. Give me that
Well,
website again so I can put the link in chat. What is it? www dot.
I just put it in chat too.
Oh, did you?
www.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Into the YouTube chat. www.super-relativity.com. And you'll see my site.
Okay. I didn't see it in there. Wanted to make sure I don't see it.
Oh, I'll see it. I'll put it in this other chat here.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
put it in
seeing
your
it.
chat. Hold on. That relativity.com. Now it's going to be in that chat. So it's in the
Okay.
YouTube and in your
Awesome.
StreamYard chat. There we go.
Perfect. 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 Perfect.
Yeah, just contact me we'll make another time and we could do a
Yes.
regular discussion if you want.
Oh, I would love that. I would
Yeah,
love
there's lots
that.
to talk about in lots of
Oh,
different
yeah.
areas.
Oh yeah, because here on my channel we talk about so much. We talk about, we talk about everything. We talk about collective consciousness. We talk about
Right.
cryptids. We talk about the paranormal. We talk about, UFOs, UAPs, and interdimensional beings and meditation. Like we just
I
here
got information on all of that,
we
including stargates. You want to talk about
ah
stargates? I'll
this
tell you
is
about stargates.
we're done. Okay, let me write that down. We're going to talk about stargates too. Uh-oh, we glitched.
Glitching.
We
Right.
glitched again. We glitched
Yeah.
in the glitch in the
We gotta
matrix.
stop these guys.
That's
You want to know
exactly
who my most frequent visitor is on LinkedIn?
who.
U.S. Air Force.
Interesting. Of
Uh,
course, it would be them, right?
yeah, that and on ResearchGate, loads of people from Norway. You'd be amazed how many people are interested in my theory from Norway. Something's
You
going
know,
on
you,
over there.
that's interesting that you said that because I have noticed recently that how like in YouTube you can check your analytics in YouTube and it'll tell you like where your demographics are and where people are like. It's so interesting that you said that because all of a sudden, I would say in the last like 4 months, I've been getting a lot of viewers from Norway.
Yeah, there's something going on over there. I don't know what because I'm not
Yeah.
local to that area, but they're very aware and they seem to be organized somehow, because they'll be coming in groups, and that's just way
Yeah.
too weird. 1 or 2 at a time is one thing, but 8 or 10 or 12 a week, that's a lot. From, that's as much as, I get from the United
Right.
States sometimes. And just from that one little country, there's something very interesting going
It
on there.
is.
There's
It
more to
really
talk
is.
about. Maybe we'll talk about that on another show. But I have
Okay.
some other information about Norway we'll talk to
Okay.
at some point.
I'm writing all of it down so I don't forget.
All right.
Mark, thank you so, so much. I really appreciate you, your time, your research, and sharing it with all of us today. And I'm gonna email you and give you some more dates, and we'll talk about these other topics for sure. And then we'll just take it from there. I love it.
Absolutely. Okay, sounds good.
Right.
Thank you for having me
Thank
on. I
you.
appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay. Take care.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, everybody. Wasn't that amazing? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This has been such a joy for me today, having Mark visit us today. Um, I don't know. I'm just in such a, I don't know. I'm in so much joy right now. I'm in the afterglow, I guess, of feeling all of this love and kindness. And you guys are always a part of it. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for listening to Mark and to his message. And love and blessings, guys. I did create a Sunday Fun Day stream that's going to start at 2:30. Gives me about a 15-minute break here. And I will, if anybody wants to come and join me for Sunday Fun Day and some announcements. I want to talk about Gatlinburg. I want to just talk about a couple of giveaways that I'm going to be doing. And so join me in about 15 minutes and I will see you guys. Till then, I want you guys to not forget. And I'm hoping you guys remember, right? I'm hoping you guys remember, spread love and kindness wherever you go.